Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the BrainScratch Commentaries playthrough of Resident Evil 2. And, Sherry just got kidnapped by a creepy old man. It's,
Creepier old man. He has quite a change in,
well,
from his
Sherry
original interpretation.
Sherry didn't even get kidnapped by Brian Irons in the original. She was just hiding in the back room of his office, and he didn't know she was there for some reason. He didn't care about her at all, but here he's trying to get hold of her so that he can get the key.
Well, it's like, thank God Sherry wasn't caught by Irons in the original.
Yeah.
You know, she might have been one of the first to get, I mean, how do you verbalize taxidermy?
I don't know.
I guess taxidermized?
Stuffed?
Stuffed?
Just
I
say
guess maybe,
stuffed,
yeah.
That's
I don't know. That's
basically what it is.
That's a coward's answer.
Can we
That's
not
too
talk
easy.
about stuffing a little girl, please?
We're talking about taxidermy, Ted.
Taxidermy, yeah. You know, like that Heavy Rain DLC. Oh, that's not much better.
She's not
Oh, the
old enough to
taxidermist,
pay
yeah.
taxes, guys. All right.
Okay, so this is cool. Okay, Leon and Claire both have a completely different experience in this part of the area. Whether they're playing the A or B scenario.
I'd say this part of the game, really.
Yeah. Leon will always have to deal with the dogs in this area. Claire won't have to deal with the dogs until she's out of the station. You'll find in the kennels that the lickers have eaten all the dogs when you come here as Claire, so you have to sneak through you have to sneak around the lickers or kill them if you're.
Honestly, I find the dogs much easier to deal with.
Yeah, and by the time you have to deal with the dogs as Claire, you also can potentially have access to the submachine gun, which makes the dogs even easier to kill. To be brutally frank, just spray a few bullets.
If I can ignore them, I ignore them, because I only find them easier to deal with as Leon, because he's a shotgun.
Yeah.
Oh, the submachine gun makes them easy as pie, really.
I'm not wasting a submachine on a dog.
Anyway, as I said, the lickers don't see you, even if they start little creeping in your direction. So if they're in a wide open area like this, they're really easy to get around. You can fight nearby the lickers with the knife, and not alert other lickers nearby. So the easiest way to get past the licker, if you're decent with a knife, if they're in a narrow hallway, just stun lock them with a knife until they die. You might take a hit along the way, but you won't alert the other lickers unless you fire a gun. So
Kind of missed opportunity. I kind of wish there was like some sort of like transition where like you can clearly see the lickers and dogs fighting each other. You know, the dog's clearly losing.
now, fun fact, there's actually a counter on the Resident Evil 2 website for the number of roaches triggered.
Yeah.
Well, because I think that's the one thing that kind of caught everybody off guard.
It's a jump scare, yeah.
Yeah. Well, kind of like a squirmy scare, yeah.
Well,
Because they don't exactly jump out at you.
I'm gonna open up the website because I forgot to do that this time, and see exactly what that count is as of this recording. It's going to be much higher than it was before.
I love everyone when they get to this area. They just start to see the feet, and then they just slowly start pushing it back in.
Which is not what you should do. You have to check to make sure that there's a. I mean, put the body back once you're sure that you've gotten everything. But there's a couple items.
I think I've probably
in there.
seen like 15 to 20 different RE2 remake videos where it begins with them opening the chute with the body shaking inside, and they don't say anything and just push it right back.
Is it a zombie? Will it
That's
yeah. There's one in there. Yeah.
The shaky body is a glitch, though. It's just a funny glitch, a creepy glitch.
Yeah.
So it's
Is it? Because I always took it intentional.
It's a physics bug, but you know, it's not intentional. No, the body.
But it works out for a funny moment for most people.
Yeah. Now let's see.
And behind door number 7 is.
Yeah, I'm talking about that body. That's not a glitch. You're just like. Yeah.
It might possibly be that it went through some random.
Yeah.
It might possibly be some scripted twitches. I'm not sure. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I always forget it's scripted.
I'm paying half attention here because I'm scrolling down the website to see where the gosh darn.
Now shut up. I'm trying to get my roach
Oh,
analytics.
I'm not even on the right page. I'm on overview. It should be global stats. Okay, roach analytics. Here we go.
Here's the one that'll spring to life when you get the necessary item from them.
Yeah, which I mean,
you know it's coming.
In the B scenario, it springs to life before you get the item, which is a pain in the ass. you gotta dodge around it okay, here we go. Cockroaches triggered 536,070,221. I personally have triggered 389 of those, and that amounts to 0.0361% of the global cockroach population. I'm not sure what number is the scariest one out of all of those, but whew. So yeah.
My leg benders.
The only reason why you'd be doing this is because you have to head back to this hallway anyway.
Yeah.
Do ya?
Well, no, not that hallway, technically.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking of Leon.
Yeah, I was just taking down I was just taking out his legs because it was a narrow hallway.
No, well, even Leon, you don't have to go back to that room.
Yeah, well,
Because you can just go to the door on via the other side.
unless you happen to leave items
at that
behind.
point, you got to deal with the dogs though.
Yeah, the dogs are coming through the little ventilation shafts and everything. The dogs are actually the harder thing to deal with in this area.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you've got ample shotgun ammo, which I generally do at this point in the game, they're not that hard, but now here I am trying to get past this guy without shooting.
Yeah, no, I much prefer dealing with the dogs than the lickers. The lickers are just way more damage intensive in this version.
Yeah.
Well, the way that you're
They
describing
can
it,
be-
the dogs you have to fight, but the lickers you can get away without a fight, though.
Yeah,
There's a trick to lickers. There's not really anything you can do about dogs.
I much rather deal with lower health enemies than risk getting, surrounded by lickers.
Ouch.
Yeah, the flash grenades don't last that long on the lickers, so...
I liked it when the flash grenades instantly popped everyone's head off in Resident Evil 4. That was cool.
Only if they had a ganado in their head.
They all
Yeah.
have ganados in their heads.
The flat... No, I mean like
I
the
guess if you're going to be technical,
the
you're not
tentacle head
wrong.
things that pop out when their heads explode. Those would be instantly killed by the flash grenades.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So it's blowing off the people's heads whose heads you've already blown
Off.
Yeah, it's like the
Yeah.
Ganados were
What?
apparently like super de-duper sensitive to light.
Sensitive to light.
Yeah.
That's why I never fight ganados in broad
Yeah.
daylight.
Anyway, when it comes to the 4 keys, there's an interesting thing. Only Claire gets the heart key, and only Leon gets the club key. They both still get 4 keys. It's just that the bolt cutters sort of act as your 4th key there.
so you don't get all 4 suits.
No.
Yeah. What this amounts to, though, is that there are a couple rooms that can only be opened with a heart and a club key, and there are a few rooms that have a heart key door and a club key door, which require you to come at them from different directions depending on who you're playing as, which is a nice little mix-up.
Oh, that's neat. Yeah.
But what this comes down to, though, is that Leon has to go through the liquor corridor with Mr. X chasing him every time, whereas Claire can avoid that corridor entirely if you know what you're doing. So Leon kind of gets the short end of the stick on which key he can pick up. So, yeah, just, so you know.
Yeah, I would definitely say overall Claire's campaign is a smidge easier than Leon's.
Easier, yeah. I mean, on the other hand, her weapons are a bit more specific in how they're used. Like,
Yeah.
she has 2 different ammo types for the grenade gun, and it's not as reliable in terms of damage output as the shotgun. You aim the shotgun squarely and score a shot, it's probably going to do more damage than the grenade gun. The grenade gun has a lot more splash damage, though, and tends to burn things.
I would say, though, yeah, but it's also easier to hit.
Yeah, but, if you manage to hit...
You miss with the shotgun. I mean, that's it.
If you manage to hit squarely with the grenade gun, though, it does do lasting burning damage by either setting your opponent on fire or splashing them with acid. I think the flame rounds...
But I think acid rounds are still one of the most potent weapons in the game.
They're designed specifically for the bosses, yeah.
Yeah, they're just not reliable.
So I had a question. So I know in
As-
Resident Evil 1, besides the weapons that they could pick up, Chris and Jill had differences in their stats in that
Yeah.
Chris had less inventory and
More health.
more health and stuff like that. Did RE2, either
No.
this version or the original? No,
No,
none
neither
of that?
version. None of that, no. Both characters were the same. The only inventory difference you would get between the 2 characters is whichever character you decided to pick up the inventory expansion pack with.
Okay,
But
so-
in this game, you get the same number of expansions no matter who you're playing as.
So it's basically just a matter of what items they're able to find and not anything intrinsic about the character. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, more or
Alright.
less.
It was an interesting idea in Resident Evil 1, but I felt like it kind of made certain characters better than others.
Oh yeah, in Resident Evil 1, you're unquestionably going to have an easier time when you're playing as Jill. Like, if you take damage, you can die pretty fast, but she can bullshit her way past all the all the sword key doors, so she has easier access to more items in the beginning of the game.
I'm usually not I don't usually have a problem with games where the different characters provide different experiences. Like, a different way to play the game, I guess I should say. Like, the first example I can think of is, like, Tails and Knuckles v Sonic and Sonic. But I always kind of felt that for Resident Evil, Jill was just better.
Yeah.
And I don't like it when they do that and one of the characters is just better, aka when you just compare Sonic and Tails.
Well, to clarify, we're talking about the original release on the PlayStation 1 here. In the remake, they're on fairly even footing because of the additional mechanics and how the two characters interact with that.
Oh yeah, because Chris can carry lighter fluid and burn stuff easier.
Yeah, Jill has to get the lighter later, and thus has a big old chunk of the game where you're in quite a bit of danger of triggering a lot of Crimson Heads before you can even deal with them. Yeah. So she has a little bit of a counterbalance there, and the characters kind of come out looking better. In Resi 2, though, the only real difference between the characters is what weapons they get. And it's a substantial difference because they both have a completely different weapon set. Even in the original game, they had completely different handguns with different ammo counts. And the grenade gun obviously has different applications than the shotgun.
If you want to be super technical, Claire has a smaller hitbox.
Yeah? Not that it
being
really
shorter will do that for you.
Not that it really makes much of a difference in terms of context of this game.
Not that it makes much of a difference in a tank control game, because, well, the zombies are beelining straight to the center of your hitbox anyway.
I think it can be manipulated, though.
Does she have a smaller hitbox in this game? It might make a small difference here.
Oh, I don't know.
Like if you're playing tool-assisted, maybe.
Do things, like, aim at you, like, and shoot stuff at you? Like, not guns, but, like, because I feel like her being shorter would just mean that stuff might fly over your head.
No, in fact, the only enemies in the original game that shot stuff at you were the spiders and plant monsters with spewed acid in your direction, and those have been removed here. The plant monsters have been redesigned and given completely different mechanics. We'll get to those on the lab. And the spiders have been replaced by a downgraded boss from the original, believe it or not. The G-Virus spawn that used to be the first A scenario boss is now a regular enemy in the sewers, and it is much more dangerous as a regular enemy, let me say.
Ooh, bribery, my favorite.
Oh yeah, this is the letter from William Birkin, or WB. So for all we know,
or Warner Brothers.
That's all, folks.
For all we know, Police Chief Brian Irons might possibly be having his palms greased by the Animaniacs here. I mean,
it'll be a cold day in hell before Disney buys my company, Brian Irons. You know what to do.
But yeah, I like how William Birkin is shown to have quite a bit of a temper here. Which is not something he was ever shown to have in his letters in the...
To be fair, Irons is a massive fuck-up and kind of deserves it.
Oh, yeah. Well, in this one, Irons is more involved in the Umbrella stuff, too, than he used to be. I mean, he used to be...
In the original, he was just a guy in an office.
Yeah, he was just a guy in an
office. I like how
office,
he gets progressively angrier and more fed up with his bullshit as the letters go, though. It's just like, he's like, oh man, you're doing such a great job. Dude, you wanna dude, seriously, god damn it.
The subtext there, though, is that William Birkin expected a little bit too much from the police chief, because it would be hard to assign police officers to this...
To the sewers.
To covering up William Birkin's bullshit, because he'd have to find ones that wouldn't squeal, you know? So it would be a very small portion of the RPD. Especially since we're talking about, like, a semi-rural RPD here. Which has a fairly smallish police force. I mean, Raccoon City is a city, but it's a rural town that grew rather rapidly into a city.
Nothing more repulsive than a guy who admits that he nearly climaxed when he cut the belly open of a creature.
And then you start looking around the room and wondering which ones he's actually,
Yeah, it's like I'm really thankful I left that UV light inside the locker room.
In the original game, the only time the game calls attention to the taxidermy apart from the wonderful camera shot of the tiger in the next room over here, is the moment when Brian Irons turns in his chair and at a really odd moment in the conversation says, "To think taxidermy used to be my hobby. He's got a dead woman on his desk. Damn it! It was creepy." But in this one, instead, they put the file there, which is his taxidermy journal, and it's pretty. Yeah. Everyone that Let's Plays this game has stopped and just sort of what did at at that file.
Oh boy, everybody's favorite type of puzzle, wire.
Not mine.
We need to find 2 little blocks to put into the block puzzle, and then we rotate the blocks to connect the wires.
Also, it's a block puzzle and a wire puzzle. Oh boy.
Okay, so this room is, for some odd reason, modeled after that one storage room where you push the step stool to get an item off the top shelf. Like, it's got that same U shape, and it's even got the step stool there as a little Easter egg. But it's in a completely different part of the police station, and looks completely different.
I think that's where we originally got the crank.
Yeah. Or the first aid spray if you're on Leon B.
Right.
Yeah, there was it was the only club key door, and the only thing you got out of it was a file and a healing item. A file that you probably got in the A scenario anyway. Well, to be fair, it is a file that you could have missed in the A scenario because it's not one of the ones that's like a 3D paper object sitting on a desk. It's actually hidden in a shelf that you have to go out of your way to examine. Sometimes.
I like for one character in the Resident Evil series to look at the heart-shaped key upside down. It's like, oh, it's a ball-shaped key.
A butt-shaped key.
Okay.
A Valentine's heart is shaped like a lady's bottom. I mean, come on.
Or a guy's ball sack. Let's be real.
I feel like neither of those things are romantic enough for.
Have you ever heard of?
Chris looks at the
Never had a romantic Valentine's
Ted.
Day? Nothing but butts and balls.
Ted, have you ever heard of love nuts?
Yeah.
Actually, no.
Okay.
No, what happens is Chris looks at the keys. It's like, wow, they have all the suits of the cars except this one is shaped like a butt for some reason.
So,
Chris.
So there's this island. I shit you not. There's this island off the coast of Africa, which is the only place on Earth where a certain tree grows, and the tree grows these big 30-pound nuts that are shaped very explicitly like what you would see if a naked woman were bending over in front of you. It's something. I'll drop the.
It's symbolic.
I'll drop the article from CBS into the Discord so you can peruse it after the part.
Thanks.
Nice use of the word peruse.
It's
That's
funny.
an SAT letter. I mean, word. I mean. I mean, the only SAT letters are S-A-N-T.
And T.
Okay, so originally in the original game, you would come here through that door. No, not through that door. That's the door that would lead in, that would have led you into the press room. You would come into this area through this hallway, which I think is barricaded next to that door. You know what? I've completely lost track of where everything is in relation to the original game. In any case, the point is you could reach this hallway very early in the game, but from here you have to go up to the second floor and then climb down because the original way in it was barricaded, which I thought was a cool way to relayer the police station without actually changing the overall layout. In any case, we can use the red gem on this box to get the stars badge. But like in the original game, this happens. Okay. Hi.
Okay, you see, I was.
Surprised,
Where are they?
I'm surprised you actually would waste ammo on it because you never have to.
No, you want to kill this thing. Trust me, you want to kill this thing because you can vault over here and get into this room. But although the licker won't follow you into this room, you have to leave through the door you came through because the other door is a club key door.
It's locked.
Yeah. So kill the licker from here. It won't follow you. It for some reason it just won't go back through the mirror. So it's actually
look at those
really
1998 laptops.
Yeah, it's a really easy licker to kill.
Does Claire get the club key?
No, she doesn't. I just said that earlier this part.
Okay, well, then I think that goes into what I was saying earlier. I wouldn't even bother wasting ammo on the licker because you only hear one time and you leave.
And that's the thing. The licker there, it opens the mirror so that you can jump into the room that you can only get into through the club key door.
Right.
So you want to kill the licker, but the easiest way to do that is to hop over the mirror because it won't follow you and it will forget you're there.
Yeah.
So you can just
But
shoot
also,
through the mirror
as we saw,
and kill it.
As we saw earlier, when he jumped over to the other room, the licker went to the ceiling. You can jump over the railing again and just leave them.
Oh yeah, I suppose
It'll still drop down and try to hit you, though.
It might hear you jumping over the mirror, though. I'm not sure. I haven't tried it. It might hear you jumping over the mirror, though.
I think you should try it.
Well,
too late. It's already dead.
It's already dead, and
No.
I play it.
Start the commentary over. We're gonna try it now.
In any case, a dead licker is the only good licker. So I've got plenty. I've got plenty of goddamn acid rounds. So
I was hoping that was a heart-shaped box.
So somebody had written "let me out" on the one-way, two-way mirror, whatever the hell it's called. So I was expecting a zombie to be in the room, but I wasn't expecting one to jump through it. So
now
that did surprise me a good
if
bit.
you leave this hallway for later, which you may or may not do depending on how you're approaching things, if you're being chased by Mr. X when you go through this hallway, he will bust through the wall, or at least sometimes he busts through the wall from the press room to the.
He definitely did for me.
Yeah, that's the same wall he busts through in the original game after you encounter him
it's a
in the
callback
press
to the
room.
original.
Yeah, but he'll only do it if he happens to be chasing you when you go through that area. So it's an event you could miss depending on what order you do things in.
My first playthrough of this was extremely slow because of Mr. X. Like if I hear footsteps like really close by, I would just wait him out.
Or allowed a synth bass drop.
Yeah.
Did we?
Is it close by?
Did they reveal
I guess
that
so.
Mr. X was going to be in both scenarios before the game came out?
No.
No, they revealed that he was in the game, but like most original players, we just kind of assumed he was just going to be a B mode or extra mode thing.
The music
Yeah.
though, guys, is not triggered by Mr. X being close by. It's triggered by him noticing you. So
Yes.
yeah, that's your cue to run. By the way.
I hate when stuff like the music has such a. I think is probably one of the most effective things at creeping me out. Like when, actually, you know what? The first thing that I always think of when it comes to stuff that scares me in video games is the SAX and Metroid Fusion, because that's the first thing I can really think of that actually scared me in a video game. And it's both the music that plays when you're close to it but it hasn't seen you, and the music that plays when it has seen you that just like send me into the war flashbacks, And I'm just like
Yeah, the war of you running away.
Anyway, the trigger for Mr. X in the A scenario and in the second encounter with him in the B scenario is extinguishing the helicopter and then trying to pass through that hallway. He will always push the helicopter out of the way and come after.
Unless you glitch out of bounds and go around and then just never trigger him at all.
and then will he never appear?
Yeah, if you want to be.
He'll just stand there and just not do anything.
Yeah, if you're a pussy.
I think it's actually, well, for me, it'd probably be harder to actually glitch out of bounds than just deal with him and right out. But.
Okay, so the large gears over here take up 2 spots. They're like the only key item in the game that takes up 2 spots. This is not very far from where you need to use it, though, so a viable strategy here would indeed be to just leave the gears where you are until you unlock the door from the clock tower area, and you can come back and get the large gear.
When the storage area is actually a storage area.
The only reason you wouldn't want to do that in this case is because Mr. X will have been triggered by that time, so he could chase you into this room. It's a big-ass circle, though, so it's fairly easy to lose him.
The best thing to do would be just to kill the zombies in here before that happens, and so he'll just follow you and you can just stay ahead of him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do like leaving some zombies alive when Mr. X is on my tail. I just like seeing him push them away.
Now, I'm full up on inventory here, so I'm going to have to leave these key items behind and come back.
Oh, I like that in the map it shows exactly what you left behind, even if it's just like a note or something.
You don't actually have to check the items either. Sometimes it'll mark them on your map if
as long as you're near them.
Yeah, so your map can notice items that you were too frazzled to notice while you were running for Mr. X or something.
Yeah.
That's why it's the best map in Resident Evil.
Yeah, so but I like that it shows you specifically what it is, because some maps will just say, "Hey, you missed an item in here," or whatever. And you don't remember what it is.
I would have totally been fine if it was just, "Hey, there's still items in here you haven't picked up." That would have been totally fine. But just actually marking them was just a step above, really.
Remake 1 did that. It marked down which rooms you cleared out and which rooms still had a thing to deal with in there, but it didn't tell you what. And that was enough, because the area was a bit smaller, and there weren't as many items per area, I suppose, because the equation is a lot smaller there. Less ammo, less healing items, less zombies. But there's a lot of stuff in Resident Evil 2, so yeah.
And everyone misses the handgun ammo in the library when you move the thing.
Yeah, I actually had to go back and get that before I went on to the first boss, if you remember.
Yes.
Is there like a completion percentage for finding every pickup?
No.
No. The only ranking you get is for
time and saves.
Time and saves, and I say time and saves loosely because it's not like in the original. The only ranking that your saves matter for is the S+, which you need to do in the S rank time with less than 3 saves. Obviously, S+ is something that you're only going to be going for if you're really into it. I don't think there's any unlockables tied to S+, are there?
I think it's like a trophy or achievement thing.
I don't even know if there's a
Probably just
trophy, but not sure. Possibly. Oh yeah, I think there is one.
It's fairly simple though.
I like how
practicing on the mannequin.
I like how this knife that's stuck in the mannequin has just a little sliver of durability that's gone when you pick it up. So it's like, yeah, someone was practicing on the mannequins, and it's reflected in the item. That's actually pretty cool environmental story, though.
Jerk.
It was probably Chief Irons.
Good combat knife.
It was probably Chief Irons, because he's fucking crazy.
Holy crap! You could shoot through the bars. That's not just a solid object. Oh my god.
Yeah, you can shoot. You can shoot through a lot of things in this. There's a lot of attention to detail in Resi 2. I mean, damn. I mean, yeah. There's the occasional odd physics bug, and the way the zombie dismemberment works is a little off at times, and sometimes there are some physics glitches if zombies die on staircases and stuff.
It's about as good as you can reasonably expect it to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I just still wish they would turn off that bad reflection effect, Anyway, next part we're going to be dealing with Mr. X. I think I actually managed to knock out the entire Mr. X section in a single part.
Aww.
It was also the only part that gave me any kind of recording glitch, so that was fun. But
Jacket's got a little red on it.
we just have to find the other power panel part, which is in the clock tower, as the file told us. I'm just going to put this here so that it's not taking up any space.
Yep.
Let's get moving.
You put in an item, go back to the box.
Pretty much everyone's first playthrough.
Well, when you're playing through Resident Evil Blind, it is helpful to just go to the key item place and put the emblem crest key thing in, so that it's there and you don't have to carry all of them to the thing at once. But if you're trying to speed run for ranking, you're gonna want to plan out a route and handle that all in one trip.
Yeah, basically.
What do I want to bring with me?
Well, you want to bring the badge because you want to go to the Star's
Oh,
office.
that's right. I know there's a blue herb out on the balcony, so I'm bringing a green red so that I can combine those on the way.
If there was any police left in the building, you're hoarding all the items, and you're leaving them.
They go to every single item box, John. As long as they find one, they're fine. All right.
He's not wrong.
Wait a minute.
I
Why
think item
can't
boxes
Leon
are-
and Claire use each other's items if they're both using the same item boxes?
You see? That's why it doesn't work. The item boxes are tied to an individual, not as a collective.
Man, John, your rules for interdimensional, non-physics related item boxes suck.
Hey, I didn't make these rules. I'm just an enforcer.